Hi everyone, good morning. I can see a lot of people have already joined us. Thank you very much for all of you who have joined us today in this webinar. I am Dev Gautam, and I head the sales for our USA market. I've been with Pratham for so long, and I'm predominantly managing the USA market, and that's the reason we have kept this today's webinar on the US time zone. So good morning everyone again. Just to give you a brief about PSI, though I can see a lot of guests who are well introduced with us. They have either worked with us or we have been in touch. But for the ones who have joined first time, PSI has global operations with offices and customers in US, Canada, UK, Europe, ANZ, and India. And last Sunday, we celebrated 21 years of our foundation. So it's been 21 years we are into this business. We have built numerous enterprise products as product engineering is in our core of the herd. And more than 20 products, I should say, out of it are still the market leaders. So who are leading their own markets, their own domain space. I hope you all can see and hear me very well. So as you're already aware about today's topic, it is cloud migration demystified. The reason we chose this topic is because we can see that a lot of people are still very much interested to know and to get a deep dive into the cloud migration. They want to switch to cloud, especially after this pandemic, where we all have had to move to cloud, and some of have already leveraged this. So today's session is to give you a deep dive into what cloud migration, how it could be done, where it should be done, who would be the best beneficiary of it. And we have two speakers today. Our speakers are Ashu Sharma. He is the practice head of digital transformation services with us. He's an industry expert with experience of over 15 years. So he's a certified cloud expert, including AWS certified solution architect. He also carries a certificate in cloud practitioner, again from AWS. And the second speaker we have today is Rishi Raj Kalla. So Rishi is a software engineer architect. He's also a delivery manager and a business automation expert, again with around 14 years of experience in delivering technology solutions. So Rishi has directed and mentored, I should say, mentored very critical business enterprise applications and business process management projects for us for various 500 Fortune 500 clients. So these two, Ashu and Rishi, will be giving you a very interesting and interactive webinar, a seminar on cloud computing. Before we start, let me explain you how you can talk to us during the webinar. So we have kept deliberately on mute so that it goes flawlessly. And whenever you have any questions during the presentation, just keep on floating your questions in the question box. You have the comment section. We'll take up during our questions and answer session right after the presentation, so that at the end we'll be having all the Q&As. So I hope you all get advantage from today's session. With that, I would like to invite Ashu to take us through the session and to start today's webinar. Hi, Ashu.
Hey Dev. Hello Rishi. How are you? So Rishi is going to start with this session today.
Sure. I am keeping myself on mute.
Sure. Thank you.
Rishi, can you please unmute yourself?
Am I audible now?
Yes, very loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay. So apologies for that. And thank you, Dev and Ashu. And a big hello to everyone and greetings for the new year. Thanks for joining in. And me and Ashu will be talking today about various aspects and best practices in terms of cloud migration. But just before I switch on to the agenda for our talk today, I would request to turn off my webcam just to save some bandwidth over here, and we can focus on the content that we are going to talk about in today's webinar. All right, so objective of this webinar is to give an holistic overview about the strategies an organization should follow for their cloud migration journey. So taking a look at the quick agenda for this session today, this agenda we have prepared. We will be talking about the need of the cloud as to why organization need to adopt to the cloud. We will explore the very need of the cloud basically, and then we will be taking on some of the concerns organization have around the cloud adoption, followed by key motivational factors which are the driving force for cloud adoption for an organization. We will be then talking about few key considerations before organization can start their cloud journey. And finally, we will be presenting a migration roadmap along with the key governance aspects that shall be taken into the cloud journey. So let's first talk about the need for the cloud. So in the upcoming slides, as you can see, there are various benefits cloud offers, but the first and foremost thing is what is the need for us to go to the cloud. And while you focus on some of the interesting facts provided in the slide about from the Business Insider and as well as from Deloitte, across all the industries, discussion of migration to cloud services have become a commonplace. It is one of the first consideration when discussing IT cost reduction, because it helps a business to reduce capital investment and operational cost. However, the cost is not the only factor driving cloud migration. It can help business to reap benefits in terms of flexibility, scalability, availability, accessibility, and of course, security. So IT is considered as the key enabler of business transformation in terms of customer engagement, be it a new partnership and driving competitive advantages out of it, or while ensuring certain compliances. So cloud migration presents an opportunity to transform the way an organization does business. It can help organization to lower costs, become more agile, develop new skills more quickly, and deliver reliable and globally available services to the customers. So talking about some of the concerns, and there is a data that we could see in the next slide, where we can see that there are some key concerns which have been depicted in a survey conducted by Forbes. And you can see that the top three concerns are around perhaps security, governance, and compliance, and perhaps lack of cloud experience, where an organization might think, okay, if we have to start our cloud migration journey, perhaps we might not be having enough cloud experience under our belt, and should we then think of actively pursuing that kind of activity within our business or in an organization? And yes, these are the three topmost, I would say, key concerns. Of course, privacy of the data or the chances of getting vendor lock-in and cost do play their own role, but these are some of the key concerns. So before we move on to take our further and dive deep into what an cloud migration journey holds for us, and how can we demystify them, there are certain key business drivers which we should often take into account when we start thinking of our cloud migration journey. And the first and foremost is the scalability, because these are all the drivers which are the key business drivers driving the businesses. And when business are actually focused on them, then they are actually feeling the need of the cloud. So the scalability is the first business driver, where the ability to rapidly scale IT infrastructure, performance requirements, and growing data need to match changing requirements is extremely attractive to large and small organizations alike. So for example, user load on Christmas time that we have seen recently can go up to 10K to 50K per day, and there could be a spike in that. So the auto scaling feature provided by cloud handles the load, as it can automatically scale up the capacity and scale down when needed. Another important business driver is operational cost. So operational costs are the cost of running your infrastructure. Eliminating the need for hardware refresh and maintenance program is a key contributor to the operational cost reduction. Operations and maintenance team need not to invest their time in infrastructure maintenance activities like server maintenance, OS patching, security patching, etc. The third one, which is an important business driver, is business agility. And business agility is the ability to react quickly to changing market conditions. Migrating to cloud helps increase your overall operational agility. You can expand into new markets, take products to market quickly, and acquire assets that offer a competitive advantage. So you can spin up, deploy, and test your workload in hours, not in days. You can play, learn, and as soon as you are done, you do not own the infrastructure you used to learn. The new technologies you can respond can be imbibed pretty quickly into the business as the situation demands. Cost avoidance is another key business driver, and cost avoidance is setting up an environment that does not create unnecessary cost. Pay as you use model of cloud can reduce the operation cost significantly. You pay only for the services you are using, as opposed to the on-prem, where we, of course, many a times I remember the days when earlier we had to plan for a production release. We used to prepare bill of materials, and often we used to prepare the bill of materials for a capacity more than what is sufficient as of today. And hence we ended up paying more money for procuring such infrastructure or such materials. So infrastructure where you have to pay for unused capacity of the IT infrastructure was actually a major cost contributor. Operational resilience is again an important business driver, which is reducing your organization's risk profile and the cost of risk mitigation. This includes both the resilience of systems and processes, and more generally, the ability of organization to continue to operate its business in the event of disruptive events. So with more than 16 regions comprising of more than 42 availability zones, for a cloud provider like AWS, you can deploy your application in multiple regions around the world, which improves your uptime and reduces your risk-related cost. And last but not the least, an important business driver is workforce productivity. So workforce productivity is how efficiently you are able to get your services to market. You can quickly provision AWS services, which increases your productivity by letting you focus on the things that are important. In terms of automation, you can achieve build automation, configuration management, and monitoring tools. You can increase your workforce productivity. So while we talked about the key business driver, let me ask Ashu, in your opinion, what all things an organization should consider in terms of building right business case? I mean, creating migration plan to embark their cloud migration journey.
Right, Rishi, and thank you for asking me this question. And you very well elaborated the need of the cloud migration, various challenges or various key concerns organization generally, get when they start their cloud migration journey. So there are a couple of apprehensions organization do have, but that should not stop them for embarking onto their cloud migration journey. And as you rightly mentioned, there are key motivational factors for the organizations, right? That you generally take the benefits out of it. And there are various key considerations that an organization need to consider before they embark onto this cloud journey. So I'll be talking about a few key considerations. Like first of all, they need to have a strong business case. So organizations need to consider whether they have a right business case for their cloud adoption. Is their business case providing them a right return on investment which they are planning to invest when they migrate their workload to cloud? And secondly, have they already assessed their current infrastructure and environment for the readiness of their cloud migration? And do they have a right migration plan which will actually help them to for a successful cloud adoption? Have they identified the right cloud partners, right? And have they estimated the migration cost as well, right? And this cost is not only the infrastructure cost but also the entire journey cost. Like have they considered all the consulting cost, all the planning related cost, all the infrastructural cost and whatnot, right? And have they identified right migration processes? Have they identified the right tools for the migrations, right? And have they considered that what all legacy applications they would like to migrate to the cloud, which are basically their maximum revenue generator applications? So how do they want to treat these legacy applications? Do they want to keep them on premise, or they want to migrate it to the cloud? So these are the key business considerations that organizations need to think through before they start their journey. And last but not the least is they need to understand that how do they accelerate their journey. It should not take them a very long time to migrate their entire workload to cloud, because they want to reap the benefits of a cloud migration in a very short span of time. So they need to consider all these things before they start their cloud migration journey. So having said that, once they consider all these considerations, they can actually start their journey with a roadmap, which I'm going to I'm going to explain you, right? So we have identified these 7 steps for a successful cloud migration. So first step is you need to assess the migration readiness of your organizations in all the aspects, be it in technology, be it in engineering department, be it in your processes, your staff capabilities and whatnot, right? And then you'll have to have a strong business case. So you need to build a strong business case for your cloud migration, just to keep your return on investment in mind, whether your cloud migration will be a very beneficial business in the long term. And then as we all know, no initiative is completed without a solid team. So organization need to consider to have a group of people or various committee of people which we can call as a cloud center of excellence, and these people are actually responsible for their entire cloud migration execution. So having identified this cloud center of excellence team, then organization need to pay attention to the right migration strategies that they will choose for transferring their entire workload to cloud. And they need to consider that what all things they want to migrate, what all applications they want to migrate, what all workload, IT infrastructure they want to migrate to the cloud, and what is the right approach and right strategy to migrate their entire workforce to the cloud, and which is the right platform where they want to migrate their workload. So once they have identified the migration strategies, they need to invest their time in migration planning. And in planning, generally organizations need to prioritize various services, various components that they need to migrate first, whether they want to go all in one go, they want to migrate their entire workload, or they want to do it in a phased manner. Right. So these are the planning things that they need to consider before they start their migration exercise. Then in the 6th step, they actually do the execution. Organization generally do the execution in 6 stages. One is discover, design, then build, then integrate, and then validate and cut over. So we'll be talking about these stages later in our session. And then last but not the least is governance. So once you have migrated your uh, entire workload to cloud, what are the governance policies you apply so that you can reap maximum benefits of all your business values, and how do you keep a check on all your cloud migration activities? So with that, let me start with the first step. We'll be talking a brief about how do you assess your migration readiness. So as we all know that culture is very critical for any cloud migration, and cloud adoption can fail to reach its maximum potential if companies do not consider the impact to the culture, people, and the processes, right? In addition to the technology. So cloud adoption requires that fundamental changes are discussed, they are considered and assessed across the entire organization and across all the organizational units. So we have identified there are 6 key focus areas for an organization that must be evaluated and assessed before this change happen, right? So out of these 6, 3 are key functional areas from the business, and 3 are some technical areas where I would like to discuss. So from the key functional areas, business comes first, because the business perspective is focused on ensuring that IT is aligned with your business needs, and that IT investments can be traced to demonstrate your business results. So during this phase, you need to engage your stakeholders within the business perspective to create a strong business case for your cloud adoption. You need to prioritize your cloud adoption initiatives and to ensure that there is a strong alignment between your organization's business strategies and goals versus your IT strategies and goals. So for examples, you can define new IT strategies which will be focusing on basically the organization's capacity to leverage IT as a business enabler. And in terms of your IT finance, they need to address your organization's capability to plan, allocate, and manage the budget for IT expenses. You need to understand the total cost of ownership and return on investment, as I mentioned earlier as well, because measuring the value of technology investment becomes more meaningful when these investments can be directly linked to your usage and your business outcomes, right? So basically the next perspective through which you need to assess your migration readiness is your people, your organization's people, because the people perspective generally covers the assessment of organizational staff capability and change management functions that are required for an efficient cloud adoption. So organizations need to, engage stakeholders to evaluate their organizational structures and rules, new skills requirement and process requirements. They need to identify the gaps. They need to perform an analysis of needs and gaps that will eventually help you to prioritize your, training needs, your staffing needs, and your all organizational changes, so that you can build an agile organizations which is actually ready for an effective cloud adoptions. Then there comes a governance perspective. The governance perspective generally focuses on the skills and the processes that are needed to align your IT strategies and goals within your organization's business strategies and goals, just to ensure your organization maximizes the business values of its IT investment and minimizes the business risk. This perspective generally includes all your program management, your project management capabilities, which generally supports your governance processes for cloud adoption and ongoing operations. So these are the 3 key functional areas of any business that needs to be thought through from the perspective of assessing their migration readiness. When we talk about technical assessment, you need to consider the platform perspective. So with information derived using this platform perspective, you generally describes your architecture, all the technicalities of your target state environment in detail, right? The platform perspective includes various principles and various patterns for implementing new solutions on the cloud. You need to migrating on-premise workloads to the cloud and understanding the need of your future compute, storage, network requirement in the target model. So it gives you a holistic view that what kind of technology infrastructure you will require when you migrate to the cloud versus what you have right now within your on-premise data center. Then when it comes to security, you need to basically assess your organization's security needs, right? And then security perspective generally helps you to structure the selection and implementation of your security controls that meet your organization's need, right? So choosing the correct identity and access management, detective controls, right user access management, incident reporting, and error detection mechanism, you can ensure that whatever SLAs you have, security and compliance SLAs you have within your organizations or with your end customers, whether you have thoroughly thought through that you'll be able to meet those SLAs and maintain those securities with your end customers' data. So that perspective needs to be think through very diligently once you assess your migration readiness. And then third one is the operations. The operations perspective generally describes the focus areas that are used to enable, run, use, operate, and recover your IT workloads to the level that is agreed upon with your business stakeholders. So information gained through the operations perspective generally defines your current operating procedures and identify processes, changes, and training needed to implement a successful cloud adoptions. Right. So focusing on these key areas, generally organizations can learn how to align their cloud strategies and goals to their business strategies and goals, because it helps organizations to identify the gaps in their current organization's capability and devise a work stream to close these gaps. So right, when we have assessed the migration readiness, we'll talk about creating a right business case and a strong business case. So this is the second step where organization needs to start creating a solid business case for their cloud migration needs, because building a clear and compelling migration business case generally provides your organization's leadership with a data-driven rationale to support this initiative. So as you can see in the slide, a migration business case can have 4 categories that needs to be think through. Like first, you need to run your cost analysis, then you need to estimate your cost of change, then you need to estimate the efficiency gains which you will get in your workforce productivity, and what all different business values you will get once you migrate your workload to cloud. So a couple of questions organization can think and try to answer, like what is the future expected IT cost on cloud versus existing cost? What are the estimated migration investment cost? What is the expected ROI, and when will the project will be cash flow positive, right? What are the business benefits beyond the cost saving, and how cloud adoption will improve ability to respond to business changes? So when we talk about in terms of running your cost analysis, you need to estimate the total cost of ownership, right? You can use various tools, various third-party tools to assess your total cost of ownership. You'll to analyze your impact of various pricing option that various cloud vendors provide. You need to understand the impact of various discounts that various cloud vendors offers for an enterprise, what all service credits they provide, what all trainings they can provide to your staff. So these all things you can consider when you do your cost analysis. And then you need to estimate the cost of change. And this cost of change, as I mentioned earlier as well, it's not just only your IT infrastructure cost. there is a cost associated when you do a migration planning. There is a cost associated when you involve any consulting firm or consultants for your cloud migration. There'll be certain compelling events like requisitioning of your servers, a maintenance of these servers. What is the overall cost for this entire change management, or of course the application migration cost. So you will get an idea that what will be the cost of this entire engagement. And then third factor on which you can create a business case is what efficiency gain you can get from cloud migrations. So estimate in terms of reduction in numbers of hours spent conducting legacy operational activities like requisitioning, patching, and maintaining your old infrastructure, your on-premise infrastructure. Productivity gains from the automations that you'll get when you migrate your application to the cloud. Your developer will gain productivity when you migrate your application development to the cloud. And in terms of business values, the agility you will get because you'll have a faster time to deploy, flexibility to scale up and scale down, basically procurement on demand. You'll have a cost avoidance, you'll have a risk mitigation in terms of resiliency for a disaster recovery or in a performance aspect. And also you don't have to carry your unused data center capacities when you no longer required, so you can decommission those assets, so that way you also save a cost there. So these are key factors where you generally um, take care when you start building your business case for a cloud migration. And as I mentioned earlier that no initiative is completed without involvement of your people. So to take care of all these things, you need to have a strong team, and that we call as a cloud center of excellence. So you need to have people. So you need to, first of all, you need to create a committee where you will have people from various departments from within your organizations who will be actually responsible for this entire migration. So typically this cloud center of excellence, we can divide into two functional units. One is the cloud business office, another one is the cloud engineering. So cloud business office generally owns the functions such as organizational change management, stakeholder requirements, governance, and cost optimization. So it develops user requirements. It is responsible for onboarding of the new applications and onboarding on the users. It also handles, vendor managements, internal marketing, communications, and status updates to the users. So its prime functions involve enterprise architecture, governance, training and readiness, finance, and operational change management. On the other side, the cloud engineering team generally focuses on infrastructure automation, operational tools and processes, security tooling and controls, and migration landing zone. Generally, they optimize the speed at which a business unit can access cloud resources and optimize various use patterns. So the cloud engineering group generally focuses on performance, availability, and security, infrastructure, and whatnot. So these are the two business functions that our typical cloud center of excellence body should have. So since we have discussed all the prerequisites of starting a cloud migration journey, I would like to understand from Rishi, like what it takes when you hit the ground, when you actually start your migration process. How do the organization strategize their migration efforts and choose the right platform for cloud migration?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ashu. I hope I'm still audible.
Yes, Rishi, you are. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, Ashu. You beautifully explained about the key consideration a business should take before embarking on their cloud journey. We looked at the migration roadmap and ways to assess migration readiness and how to build the business case for migration. But yes, as you said, when we hit the ground, and one of the important aspect is to identify the appropriate migration strategy which actually involves and discovery of like what to migrate, prioritize the application and infrastructures that needs to be migrated. Uh, of course, also think through how to migrate all these and formulate a migration strategy that is aligned with the need and the addresses the potential risk. And that covers up basically how to migrate part. And then the last but not the least is where to migrate, where an organization has to choose a reliable platform, be it in private cloud or public cloud or an hybrid cloud, which you might be as appropriate to the need of the business. So talking about discovery, like in terms of what to migrate, typically and business when they are building up their business case, they evaluate the current state of the inventories and get a 360-degree overview of the infrastructures, application, and their dependencies. So it's kind of an preparing an laundry list of all the items, like all the applications, the inventory of the servers, softwares, network devices, storage devices, and of course the dependent data on them. What are the software dependencies, whether they are like monolithic application or having in containers and microservices, the logical and physical architectures, the servers to storage relationships, and things like that. So the prioritizing the application suites as per the complexities, their impact on the business, transaction dependencies, benefits of ending support for legacy application, and taking advantage of elasticity. So these are typically being done when an organization tries to figure out, okay, what all things needs to be migrated and discover by preparing that. Next comes up is an approach to figure out how to migrate. And in the cloud parlance, we see that there are typically the 6 most common application migration strategies that we see day in, day out. And these are called as typically 6 R's, where each one of these R stands for rehosting. So rehosting actually moves the application without any changes. So in large scale legacy migrations, organizations are looking to move quickly to meet business objectives. So the majority of these applications are rehosted. Applications are easier to optimize or re-architect once they are already running into the cloud, because of the hard part, that is migrating the application data and traffic that has already been done. Another strategy which also comes into play is re-platform, which is then kind of like lift, then do some tinkering around your architecture or solution, and then shift. So making a few cloud optimization to achieve a tangible benefit. You will not going to change the core architecture of the application as such, but for example, if you reduce the amount of time you spend managing database instances by simply migrating it to an database as a service platform, like Amazon provides the relational database service, which is called as Amazon RDS. Or you can even think of migrating your application to a fully managed platform like AWS Elastic Beanstalk, that comes with an added feature of providing auto scaling and scaling up and scaling down and things like that. The third R that stands for refactor or re-architect is actually forcing business to reimagine how the application is architected and developed using cloud native features. So this is driven by a strong business need to add features, scale, or boosting the performance that would otherwise be difficult to achieve in the application's existing environment. So are you looking to migrate from a monolithic architecture to service oriented, or perhaps serverless architecture to boost agility or improve business continuity? Then this strategy tends to be the most expensive one. But it can also be the most beneficial if you have a good product market fit for it. The fourth one comes is an repurchase strategy, where an organization are typically trying to move from perpetual licenses to software as a service model. So a classic example of this could be like moving from a customer relationship management CRM to, for example, Salesforce.com, an HR system to Workday, or from a content management system to Drupal. So that is typically a case of repurchasing, where you are moving from perpetual licenses to an SaaS model. And in terms of that, you typically think of adopting cloud and migrating to that. And in the event when organization do such activities, they develop their business case and business roadmap in terms of migrating to cloud. They also take a look at their applications and their user base and their uh, other statistics, and may also tend to decide that some of these applications are no longer needed, and perhaps they think of a strategy called as retire. So basically that means removing an application that are no longer needed. And once you have completed discovery for your environment and ask who owns each application, as much as 10 to 20% of an enterprise IT portfolio is no longer useful and can be turned off. These savings can boost your business case as well. And last but not the least, Retain is another cloud migration strategy which keeps the application that are critical for business but that require major refactoring before they can be migrated. And you can revisit all applications that fall in this category at a later point in time. So basically, choosing the right migration strategy depends on your business driver for cloud adoption, as well as time consideration. So business and financial constraints and resource requirements are also a contributing factor to it. Replatform if you are migrating for cost avoidance and to eliminate the need for a hardware refresh, or rehost the majority of your platform and refactor later if your data center contract will end in 12 months and you do not want to renew now. So that covers up an approach towards how to migrate, which migration strategy one should adopt for. And then the last part is like where to migrate. And by today, we all are aware that there are three types of offerings where a business or organization could plan to migrate. It could be in public cloud, or it could be private cloud, or it could be a hybrid of public and private cloud. So where public clouds are usually offering a lower cost with a capacity of infinite scalability, and they do offer an access to the advanced technology. So in the event if somebody has a choice of deciding amongst the multiple public cloud provider, then some of the critical aspects that one can look for is to see how much control a business would get over the infrastructure. What is the amount of data security is being provided by the public cloud provider, and what is the level of customization that can be done over these services provided by the public cloud providers. Similarly, private cloud providers, they are the services and infrastructure that are maintained on private network, which typically do not have a direct public access to the resources, and they tend to provide an added layer of security and privacy, and hence they have an improved efficiency and control over the things. With the private clouds, it is often said that it is easy to meet compliances part. So in terms of comparing the private clouds, again, there could be some important yardsticks that can be used, like the private cloud providers can be assessed on terms of resource optimization that they are being providing, the hardware limitations which could pose some challenges to scalability is an important aspect to consider. And because the private cloud has an added security layer and much improved interfaces for efficiency and control, they tend to have a relatively higher cost. So all in all, many a times organization combine the on-prem infrastructure or private cloud with public cloud to reap the benefits of both types of cloud. So just to get a better business continuity and disaster recovery and DR plans. This actually at times turn out to be a cost saving for specific projects, and this balances out the control and performance as well as elasticity. So with this strategies being in mind, there could be perhaps an uh, prioritizing in terms of migrating components, and then definitive planning might be needed for that. So Ashu, what do you think? I mean, in terms of planning and prioritizing the migration components?
Right, Rishi. As you have identified various, strategies, how you want to migrate your applications. There could be, a bunch of application, a lot of applications which organizations have, and they are planning to migrate to the cloud. But first, we need to identify and plan advanced, like what all components, what all applications we need to migrate. So that requires prioritization of migration components, and that comes under the planning. So how well you plan, so migrating these components, so the well you plan, the smoother will be your cloud migration. So here first you need to first identify the connection between your various services and their interdependencies. And for larger and complex application, you will definitely have to have a monitoring application like New Relic APM that generally offers, service maps to be generated and then dependency diagrams to be generated. Once you have a dependency diagrams, you can clearly decide that what all components needs to be migrated, and in what order you need to migrate those components. So planning plays a very important role. Prioritizing your migration components plays a very important role in your success for a successful cloud migration, because you cannot migrate your entire workload to the cloud in one go. So our advice is to consider a phased approach to migrate your application, prioritizing business functionality in the first place. Um, uh, don't attempt to do it all in one step. In the subsequent phases, you need to do an optimization of the application where the cloud platform can make a notable difference in terms of cost, performance, productivity, and compliance. So I'll give you a very good example here. Like if you are going to migrate an application that leverage an Oracle database, and your strategy includes replacing an Oracle with an Aurora PostgreSQL, for example. Yeah. So the best migration approach may be to migrate the application and stabilize it in the migration phase, and then execute the database change effort in a subsequent phase. So don't do both the things in one go. So you take a phased approach, because if you take this approach, you will be controlling the risk during the migration phase, and you'll be focusing on the migration business case and value propositions due to this planning. So our recommendation is start by migrating the services that have a fewer dependencies. Start with the outward and customer facing applications first, and then move to your legacy services. So this way you can actually plan out your entire migration. Also, I would like to touch now the actual execution of your migration. And when I was discussing our migration roadmap, I mentioned that migration executions, we can divide it into 6 different phases where you actually migrate your workload to cloud. So you can divide these 6 steps, this entire migration execution in 6 stages. First is discover. So in the discover stage, your application analysis and planning backlogs are used to understand your current and future architectures. Business and technical information are gathered. Your data is analyzed, and a migration plan is confirmed with your technical team members and your technical stakeholders. Then you move on to the design phase, where your target states are developed and documented. your cloud architecture, application architecture, and supporting operational components are identified. Your tech teams generally uses the collected information to create a design for migration. Your scripts and templates are built, your deployment models are finalized, your configuration management tools are identified. So in the design phase, you work on all these things. And then in the actual build phase, your migration design is actually executed. Required people, required tools, and reusable templates are identified. A migration team is selected based on the strategies which we choose from these 6 R strategies. So you'll have various teams for various strategies, as per their knowledge and expertise. So team will use these methods and tools to migrate your application, right? And I have seen that when you are running a business, you will have various third-party or end customer integration, third-party integrations also. Once you migrate towards the cloud, you need to make sure that all your third-party connections are working correctly. So your team, your technical team, works with the external service providers to make your external connection and integrations are working fine. And once you validate that, each of your migrated application goes through a series of specific tests in terms of your business continuity planning, your disaster recovery, your functional and performance and security testing, and your entire build verifications. And when you are satisfied that everything is done, you actually roll it out for your end customers, which is your cutover phase. So you can see that how these 6 stages are stitched together, through which you can make a successful cloud migration. So once you have migrated your applications, now it's time for governance. So basically, once you are done with the migrations, we need to definitely talk what all governance you will put in place to basically to streamline your processes and policies towards your cloud adoption, right? So these processes and policies should be in place, and it will help the organizations in the decision making process in terms of your future and current planning, your future architectures, your acquisition of new IT infrastructures, deployment of new features and existing workloads, operations, processes and policies, finance and budgeting. So these are various policies and processes which are required to make a proper governance once you migrate towards the cloud and while you are doing your cloud migration. Right, so we have come to an end, and I would like to reiterate a couple of key areas here. Me and Rishi both have introduced you in both the preparation and execution steps which are required for an effective cloud transformations. And by analyzing your current state and building a plan and iteration of the work, you can actually divide a large migration into manageable activities for an efficient execution. By looking at a migration as an organizational change, generally empowers you to build your buy-in from your stakeholders and maintain communications through each stage of the process. You need to create a strong business case and define the return on investment as the transformation progresses. So I can say that cloud environments have different failure scenarios as well, and might have increased network latency, but they generally allow for a rapid scaling and choice of data center across the globe. As Rishi mentioned in one of his earlier slides, having multiple availability zones, you can choose your data centers across the globe. So careful thought and planning should go into the transition process itself, along with the rollback plan as well. It is very important. So if your migration doesn't work like you expected it, you should have a proper rollback plan as well, right? So you are not stuck there. So cloud computing environments offer benefits, but only if the key applications are, re-architected to take advantages of all your cloud features, so while mitigating the impact of cloud limitations. So with that, I just wrap it up, and I'll open it up for question and answers. Over to you, Devyansh.
Yes, thank you very much, Ashu. And Rishi, you too. I think it was a wonderful presentation. I'm sure it would be helpful for a lot of people, and even for me, it was so many things to learn new. Uh, Quite an interesting, informative, Ashu and Rishi. Thank you very much again. So, I think now I would like to invite you to ask questions, everyone who has been with us since the starting and getting information from the experts itself. The question and answer segment is for informational and educational purpose only. So, because we are not very sure, we don't have more information about your product, but it could be very generic answers that we could give. So I'll take around 3 or 5 questions and try to club similar questions to manage the time of everyone. Let me look at it. So I can see Rishi and Ashu, though I know you have already given a brief on how to migrate to cloud and why. I think more people, the more number of questions I'm getting is which cloud is better. I mean, Azure, AWS, GCP. What would be your preference and suggestion?
Devansh, thanks for this question. And yes, this is a very good question where people generally want to know that which cloud is better. So generally, there is a no straight answer to it. I mean, there are multiple cloud vendors available in the market, and all they have, a very good capabilities. So it will actually depend on the need and type of each customer, on the workloads they are running. So, for example, if you are a startup company, you want to move things faster, and you want to do a lot of experiments, then I would prefer that you should go for AWS, because it has a very wide range of services which you can actually leverage for doing your experiments. On the other side, Microsoft is a popular choice with the C-level executives, uh, that have a long-lasting relationship with the vendor, and they know that they can consume a great deal of their enterprise computing needs on one place. On the other hand, Google Cloud is very popular in terms of if you want to have a good solution in AI, in machine learning capabilities, along with your translate, search, and security. So, I mean, it really depends that what kind of workloads you are running and what kind of cloud migration you want to achieve. So, each cloud vendor have their own advantages.
Yeah, I think I should take it like
Yeah.
there's no straight answer to it, but it totally depends upon the customer's requirement, the target area of the company, the segment they want to cover. So a lot of aspects I think there are around it.
Right.
And
But
I think
moreover, I think
one thing which I
each
would
one of
like
them
to
has.
add here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, Rishi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that there's only one thing which I would like to what Ashu said, and perhaps that we covered up in our slide where we talked about what to migrate and also covered about where to migrate. So we have seen that the underlying business objectives are also being driving the choice of the cloud provider platform. So people are going with the hybrid as well, where they are combining the on-prem or private cloud providers along with the public cloud providers. So that is again, the idea is to reap the maximum benefit out of the infrastructure, taking care of their data security. So that is again a key driving force. So maybe like hybrids are also playing a very effective role here. if somebody is being hesitant about getting stuck into vendor lock-in or things like that. That could be another area. So in that slide, we also talked about certain aspects which one should consider to do a quick comparison and then decide their best choice.
Right, Rishi,
Okay,
very well said.
got it. Perfect. So another question that I was continuously getting throughout the session, and the most asked question again, is people can understand how they will be benefited by cloud, but I think people still want to know that how it will help their engineering team, how cloud will increase the developers' productivity. So any
Right.
point on that?
Yeah, Rishi. So definitely we have an answer to that, and thanks for asking these questions. So I didn't get a chance to cover that in my earlier slide. So as you all know that by automating processes such as building and managing code, utilizing various automation tools for continuous integration, continuous deployment, using infrastructure as a code to quickly spin up your new development environments. DevOps teams can work closely with the application development team and build the solution for continuous integration deployment. So this way you can spin up, deploy and test your newly developed feature in no time as compared to your traditional deployment and testing method, where once you develop a solution, you'll still have to wait for your test environment procurement, your production environment procurement. You'll have to wait for long. But in cloud, you don't have to do that. And using an infrastructure as a code, you can actually quickly spin up your infrastructure in no time. So that's how it definitely increase your developer productivity. I hope that answers.
Yes, I hope so. I'm not getting any counter questions, so I believe people get the answer.
Yeah.
Any question, if anyone still have, they can shoot us to the email they'll have at the end. So one more question, Ashu and Rishi both, that people are also interested to know that, let's say they are into the process of cloud migration, they are already in the stage, they have taken some steps, but they still need help in between. It might be consultation or anything. So can this is also possible to get a transitional project that is already in running?
Yeah, let me take this up, Dev. So of course, we do have a competent team who can provide you with a consultancy around the problem areas you are currently having, and whatever stage you are with your cloud migration, we can offer our services right with a cloud solution, starting from your gap analysis to if you are in a building cloud solution, if you are in a migration step, or you are in an execution step. So we can help you in each stage of your cloud migration. So you can definitely get in touch with our team, and we'll definitely get in touch with you and understand your problem areas in more detailed way, and then try to provide the solutions to you. So definitely we work, and we can help these guys definitely.
Okay, perfect. So I should take it like it is obviously possible to take the
Yeah, correct,
transitional projects, but again, we need to get into the details.
correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
just to add a little
last
more
question.
detail, Dev here, uh, what Ashu said. We talked about the 6 Rs of the migration strategies, and I must tell that we have worked in majorly in every R, be it like rehosting, re-platform, or re-architecting. So even in and perhaps if needed, we can provide case studies around that. But we have started right from developing an migration strategy, developing a roadmap, developing a business case, identifying the components that could add to the operational efficiency, improve the overall performance of the architecture, and then helping them to move to the cloud. So we have taken up the cases where organization have started this activity, they were in middle of it, and we helped them to achieve their goal, and not only the desired results, but it was like more than what they expected.
Right.
Okay, very well summed up. Thank you, Rishi. I think one more question I just received is, we have 30 applications. What shall be our budget?
Yeah.
This is coming
Right.
from Patrick. Thank you, Patrick.
Hey, Patrick, thank you for asking these questions. The budget will generally depend on your application suite that you want to migrate, because it can differ case on case basis. I cannot estimate the budget right now, because I don't know what kind of application these are. Are these small applications? They have quite complex applications. What are the technical challenges, technical dependencies are there? So we can estimate a budget once we understand these 30 application in more detail, right? So however, what we can suggest you that you can get a tentative estimates using a price calculators which various cloud vendors provide. So you can just simply putting in your hardware and service requirement you want to utilize from the cloud, and then probably you can get tentative estimates. And if you need more details, definitely you can reach out to us, and then we can help you out estimating your applications.
This is
Yeah.
good to know.
And,
There
and
are
just to
calculators
remind you,
available in the
Ashu, on
market.
this.
Sorry, Rishi, you were saying something?
Yeah. I was just to remind that like some of the cloud providers like AWS, they do provide a tool like they was about to ask for the cost calculators. So
Right.
there are tools like total cost of ownership. There's an TCO tool using which you can identify, okay, what will be the total cost of ownership of this entire cloud adoption plan. And there is a cost calculator. So most of the cloud providers are coming up with their tools. Yes, of course, it is needed that what services are we going to make use when moving on to the cloud platform. And once we have identified that, perhaps then it becomes really easy task for anybody.
Right.
All right. Thank you. Got it, Rishi. I think that sums up all the questions. There are few others that are very similar to what you have already answered. So we could take it offline as well. Thanking you again, Ashu and Rishi, for sharing this important information today. It was really, really informative and quite interesting to know the things about. Even I didn't know about the calculator, the cost calculator as well. So good to know about these things. And also, I want to thank everyone who is for you to taking time of your day to join us for the seminar. I know it's start of the morning, people in the USA. So thank you very much. I hope you have a very good day. We will share a survey link also with you that you will receive tomorrow, asking you for the feedback on this event. These insights obviously will help us to shape our future events, such like this. So thank you very much. We will also share you the recording link at the last of this webinar. And on behalf of the entire BSI, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Dev.
And have a good one.
Thanks, Rishi.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dev. Thanks, everyone, for joining in.
See you again.